forgiven me, but it'll still be 2 days till I say I'm sorry.
Hold it now, I want to hoodwink. Does it make you stop, think? You'll think you're looking at Aquaman. I summon fish to the dish, although I like the chalet Swiss, I like the sushi, cause it's never touch a frying pan. Hot like wasabi when I bust rhymes, speak like Leanne rhymes, because I'm all about value. Burton Camper's got the mad hits, you try to match wits.
Good morning, happy Friday. I'm Aaron Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
We are on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. So excited to have you with us on this Friday morning because it is a Friday fun day. Fun day? It is a Friday fun day. That means we have Adam Russell from Opus Bank and CSUSB's Jack Brown School of Business Alliance. Although I think that's not your name anymore, and I'm sure you're going to tell me what it is. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning. Hold on. 25, 2, 6, quick pick. No quick pick. Let's see.
Is that your retirement plan?
Yeah. I just want to let you know, this is my last show on the show here. There's going to be, we got the lottery tonight, and I just, hold on, click send. Perfect. Just sent in my resignation letter to my boss, and we're good. What's up with you? Yeah, $500 million, baby.
Golly, Moses,
$70 million.
Yeah,
whatever.
It's gonna, will it reach $1 billion? I don't know. It might.
Who cares? But I did learn something doing my minute of research on the lottery, on the Mega Millions. California has no state tax lottery winnings.
Wait, what?
California has no state tax on lottery winnings.
Oh, so if you win it, you get to keep it all.
It's not.
At least that's what this article said. Okay, it's on the internet.
Okay. I'm sure there's income tax on that because it's income.
But I get that part, but I could see California going, we'll do this. We'll allow it in our state if there's no taxes and it benefits the schools. I just, don't know. But, one article says, hey, gee, no state tax. Some states have taxes up to like 7.25%. Idaho's like 6% on lottery winnings. So probably it varies from state to state. But, hey, there is an advantage to living in California. Who knew?
So what you do is you win the lottery, you take your lump sum, and you get the hell out.
I don't know if it kind of works that way. I think the state that you're in when you win, I don't know. I'm not the CPA. But, this is the last show. Next time I might call in from Tahiti.
You'll be in your bungalow that's over the water, looking down at crystal
permanently.
Clear. Yes,
permanently.
Bye-bye.
Oh God.
Okay, so back to reality.
Yes, I know. Snap to it. Hey, went to a good event last night, the Institute of Management Accountants. They every third Thursday, but not in November or December, because like the third Thursday in November just isn't a good day to go out onto an event. And December, same thing. But they'll be starting up again in January. They do they have a speaker, and the one in January, I believe, is a fellow by the name of Manfred. I forget his last name, but he's from the Claremont colleges. He'll be coming out. But last night they had the salary survey and put on by an outfit called Rourke Financial Solutions, and Rod Valenzuela was the speaker on that, and they talked about kind of the salary guide for financial professionals, which is interesting in and of itself. But then they went into this is a good economy, and what are the biggest challenges in this economy? And one of them is finding and keeping good employees.
Right.
So that's something that every business owner that should be on the forefront of their mind.
Yeah, because you're especially the ones who are on the front line, and I say this because yesterday, Tobin and I went out to dinner with our closest friends. It was my best friend's birthday, and so we went to this restaurant in Redlands. And I'm not going to give the name, and the waitress was so rude. She was so rude. It was like, why are you being rude? What could possibly be going on that requires you to be rude to complete strangers? And then she realized that she was being rude, I think. And then she got very saccharine, and it was like, oh my God, can we have a different server? So
Really?
yeah,
That bad?
it was bad. Don't you think, Tobin?
Yeah, it was bad. I actually handed Erin the bill to pay because I think if I had paid it instead, I would have probably given her no tip because I was upset. And I thought that maybe that's not fair, so I'm going to hand it to my wife and let her make a more fair decision because it was bad.
It was bad.
Wow.
So on to the importance of hiring good employees.
Well, and that's key, and you hit the nail on the head right there. I kind of switched receivers on here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it sounds like you're in a tunnel.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll put the receiver back on there. Oh, okay, fine. I was just trying to do something different. I slapped on the hand here. There we go.
Oh,
okay.
that's better.
Okay, very good. So, and they had kind of and Ron put together a thing, hire, inspire, train, and retain. And he went through the thing that employees in the finance, accounting sectors, right now, 70% of them are satisfied with their salary and benefits, 70%. So that means it's just, for the headhunters out there, it's just more difficult to pull them away from their current jobs. And then with the kind of the twist of the way the generations are moving, a number of years ago, for 10 or 15 years, stability is the number one thing and what matters most to employees. Well, now, number one is recognition. Kind of a big shocker, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, no. I mean, if we are all essentially independent contractors, even if we're employed, we have that mindset because nobody stays anywhere for very long. Then those accolades make a difference because that's what goes on your resume.
Exactly. But the recognition, hey, you're doing a good job. Hey, you did a good job with this, did a good job with that. And he relayed a story where he was at a company, and he's a consultant. He works with companies on this, and they were handing out awards for employees there. And he said, "Hey guys, I don't know why we're handing out awards for just doing your job." And the guy said, "Whoa, we're not doing it. We're not handing awards just because they're doing their job. We're handing awards because they're doing their job well."
There you go.
There's a difference. And the waitress last night was doing her job.
Yeah, she was. Right? We got her food.
Server.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she was doing her job. Was she doing her job well?
No.
Oh, no.
Not even close.
And the worst I've ever done, and I'm a softie on this, is the worst tip I'll leave is 10% in a situation like that.
I ended up giving 15. My standard tip is 20.
You're bigger softy than I am. But if it's that bad, then it's my wife, it's my kids actually go, "Oh, don't leave her a thing. Put a penny. What kind of kids have I raised? So, when hiring, your top 6 soft skills that you're looking for when you're hiring people, number 1, a thirst for knowledge. They want to learn. That's what you need to look for. A team mentality, wanting to be part of a team. Flexibility and commitment. You need to be flexible on your own terms. And he pointed out, 10 years ago, was there any work from home thing?
No, but 10 years ago, the internet was obviously there, but it was, well, yeah, that's true. The internet was obviously there, and there were internet businesses, but we still were kind of learning to tame the beast.
Yep. Skills in project management, skills in being kind of, being aware in your workplace, knowing what you're doing affects other people. I think consideration is kind of a key word that comes into play here. And then finally, communication skills.
Wait. Being aware of others in your workplace? You mean I can't sing loudly at my desk anymore?
No, nor can you. Give a good burp. That's when you come back from lunch. It's just being considerate of your fellow employees, and then of course finally the communication skills. And one of the interesting things he pointed out is the Generation Z, the 2020 crowd. 2000, I think it's 2000 or 2020. I'm not sure what it is. I haven't done a lot of research on that. But the Generation Z, which is after your millennials, by the way, which are Gen Ys, they're about 15 years old right now. Well, in a few years, they're going to be in the workforce. And they'll be with the Gen Yers, will be working with the Gen Z, will be working with the millennials and the Xers and the baby boomers. There's going to be 4 or 5 generations potentially working side by side in an office space. And it's going to be interesting to see how those 4 or 5 work generations work together. Because one guy's talking about his grandkids, another one's talking about his kid, and the third one's talking about the date he had with his girlfriend. So
hasn't that always been so?
You know, I thought so too when he was talking about that. But it's just what I've noticed. My observation in the last 30 years is the generations seem to be tighter. You had a much wider age on the baby boomers. I mean, that was a wide span of years, and then the Gen Xers a little less, and then we get to the Yers, and now we're having every 10 or 15 years we got a new generation coming. We're naming them, whereas I think the baby boomers was a pretty broad generation. And then people retired, I think, earlier. Now people are working longer.
They are.
So you have your baby boomers are staying in the workplace because they're fit. I was talking with one of my customers yesterday. He's turning 60. I'm like, wow, he doesn't look 60. And I said, do you feel 60? He says, no, I don't feel 60. And that's a huge improvement from 40 or 50 years ago. You know, when I was in college, look at annual reports for the board of directors and for publicly held companies, those guys were overweight, gray hair, no hair. They looked old, you know. And maybe it's just me. The older I get, the younger looking older people get, you know. So it's tough to say. So you know, the key thing is, in a lot more companies doing personality profiles, and he was very high on personality profiles. Now, if you're a small business, 5 or 10 employees, you know, I don't know if you're going to take that time to do that because you might have more turnover than usual. But he really was very adamant about, you know, let's do personality profiles and stick with them. Don't hire by your gut. The profile will be more predictive of what they're going to be doing in the workplace than your gut will ever be.
So hold that thought. We're overdue for a break. I'm here.
Wonder why I was so tired. Oh, my gosh.
I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we're talking with Adam Russell from Opus Bank and CSUSB's Jack Brown School of Business and Public Administration's Business Alliance. We will be right back.
Carter Contractors remind all area listeners to please get out and donate blood to salute the brave men and women of our armed forces that are overseas. Every pint of blood donated locally can save 1 or 2 brave soldiers overseas, so salute our troops and give back the gift of life by giving the gift of blood. This reminder from Carter Contractors, family owned and operated, serving the Riverside and San Bernardino areas for 3 generations since 1980. For commercial and industrial, new construction and remodel, call the pros today, 951-836-0698. That's 951-836-0698. Carter Contractors, on the air because they care.
Sunrise Collision Center would like to remind everybody we are entrusted with the responsibility to raise and educate our children. Promise to get involved with your child's education by getting to know their teachers and friends, volunteering for special events, and even trying to help with homework. Let's show them school is cool and drugs are for fools. This reminder, courtesy of Sunrise Collision Center, who are always providing the best quality repairs and restoration techniques on your vehicle. To restore your vehicle with genuine parts and accessories, call Don Paulson and the qualified personnel at Sunrise Collision Center at 909-434-0500. That's 909-434-0500. Or visit sccfontana.net. That's sccfontana.net. That's Sunrise Collision Center, on the air because they care.
So, you want to be in show business. Do people tell you that you're really funny, you have a great personality, and you should have your own talk show? Many of us have been told that, but we don't know how to get started. It's easier than you think. Let the pros at Cali Vegas give you a free talent evaluation. Call 949-445-1119 and learn how quickly you can create, produce, and host your very own talk show. Imagine not having to sit in traffic every day, commuting back and forth to the same old boring job. Get started in television or radio today with your free talent evaluation from Cali Vegas. Call 949-445-1119 or visit them online at calivegas.com. Make your dream come true today and create your new career and learn how to become a television or radio star with the help of Cali Vegas. 949-445-1119. Call now.
If you're looking for a full or part-time sales position and you have radio, TV, or print media experience, KCAA has a great opportunity waiting for you that pays the highest commissions in the market. KCAA is the only station in the IE that broadcasts on 3 frequencies, so advertisers receive 3 ads for 1 low rate. This makes KCAA a must-buy for every local business. If you're interested in a sales position with us, email CEO@kcaaradio.com. KCAA, where every day is a great day.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. We continue our conversation with Adam Russell from Opus Bank and CSUSB's Jack Brown School of Business and Public Administration's Business Alliance. We were talking about hiring and finding the right people, and as well as a larger booming economy.
Yeah, hiring and keeping and it's retaining those folks. Hire, inspire, train, and retain. That was kind of the key phrase he was using. And you want to minimize your turnover. And one of the things that most employers forget, they spend all this time in hiring folks. But what they don't spend a lot of time is how can I consciously retain them? They're always, they want to make everybody happy and stuff, but really focusing, who are my key employees? How can I make sure that they don't even click on that link to this job site, right? So you have to figure out what is going to be your program for retaining employees. He pointed out one story of one company for older workers, 150 employees. Every birthday, they got a gift card, $25, $50, whatever it might be. Anniversaries, they would send the gift card to the home if the person was married. And the spouse would get the gift card and the flowers.
Oh, nice.
So what happens is, and we'll talk, we'll generalize here, but it's a factory, more male workers than female. So the guy comes home, rough day at work, and the wife's going, "Wow, your boss sent us flowers and a gift card. You work at a great company." So it just helps with if someone's got a tough job. It just helps, but they're a good worker. They're a good machinist, or they're a good lathe operator, or they're a good packer. Who knows what it is? You want to make sure you keep these guys because with Amazon paying $15 an hour, it's just very easy to just, you know what, I'm going to work across the street over there.
It reminds me of if you look at a sports team and they're winning, what do they do? They celebrate when they get the run or they get the touchdown or they get a first down, and you'll see the team members cheering and the coach is cheering and they do the backslapping and whatever. It's essentially the same concept, right? I mean, you need to know that you're part of a greater team and that the effort that you're giving matters.
Yeah, Aaron, and that's a great analogy on the sports side because sports teams do so many things that businesses don't but should. And part of which is, hey, what did we do right? What did we do wrong? After every game, they analyze what they did right and what they did wrong. If businesses did that every time after they lost a big sale or lost an employee or or gained a customer, hey, how did we win that one? And let's try and replicate that. It's just a good analogy that you had there. And when you get a big deal, it's like, who has not been to a timeshare thing? Have you guys been to a timeshare thing?
God, yes, and I will never do another one because it is the hard negative sell, and you leave feeling like you need to take a shower.
When someone makes a sale, a balloon gets popped or a bell is rung or something like that, and you get this kind of circus sort of mentality thing that you go, wow, you get caught up in the moment.
Yep.
So the key thing in this economy, who are my key workers, and do I want to keep them? I guess you have to make that decision. But two, how do I keep them? How do I make them happy? And then if someone says, got another opportunity, give me a bit more pay or this or that or whatever it might be. And at that point in time, the studies have shown again and again, you can try and, here, I'll up your pay 20%, 10%, 10%, whatever it is, they may stay for a month or two, but it's just let them go.
Yeah.
It just, they made up their mind, because once you've submitted, you think about the time when you've had a job and you know what, wow, I found another opportunity, you submit your resignation, and if they counter, you're going, wow, okay, but you've almost sort of cut the cord almost all the way through when you've given your resignation, you're not expecting the counter, and I don't know if it's still the same after that. So once an employee submits, let them go and figure out what you did wrong to lose that employee.
When I was younger, I might have been the kind of person who would have chased the dollars. Let's look for the job that's paying more. But as I've gotten older, I've learned that it's the work culture that's maybe more important.
Yeah.
So I think that if I was interviewing now, I'd be asking a lot more questions about, what's the work climate like? What's the boss-employee relationship like?
Yep.
And I look at our daughter who recently left a job to a new one because they paid more, but now she's going back to the old job because she realized that it wasn't the right fit. She was chasing the money and then decided, well, hold on.
Because she fit really well
Yeah.
in the other culture. I mean, she fit it like a glove. She loved it, but she just needed a little bit more money. And she was thinking, well, this is an extra couple, $3 an hour more. And that's a lot when you're, right down near the bottom. It's a lot of money. And then she gets over there and the culture is just different enough, not negative, but she fit well in the first company's culture.
Yeah.
So she's going back. And
Now,
there's no
did
hard
they bump
feelings.
Her pay? Did they bump her pay when she went back?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
And the company that she was with the short time, she's leaving on very good terms. She was kind of vocal about how she felt like a fish out of water, and not in a negative way. She still worked her heart out, but they weren't surprised, and they're being good to her. So that's all she can ask for.
Wow. Okay. And I think that's a good testimony to where employers now, if they have any sort of scale or any sort of size, are really realizing that this is a long-term game, and I think the employees are saying this is a long-term game. If you look at it short-term, then no one wins. But if you look at it over the long term, hiring someone costs a lot of money. Retraining somebody costs a lot of money. There's a lot of costs involved. When someone leaves a company, you got to hire someone to take their place. So, in this kind of it's a tight job market. People are looking for, good people to come in. They can't find them. It's a big issue. And you've got, Amazon's going to be hiring, I think it was like 20,000 people out here.
Wow.
Just for the holidays. And overall, a lot of the big e-tailers, seasonal hiring, between Target and Amazon, 750,000 jobs for the holiday season.
Wow.
Where are they finding that, people? Or are people going to do 2 jobs? It's possible.
It's possible. I'm sure a lot of them are, actually.
Yeah.
So with that, it's time. We're at the end of our segment. So
wow, that went fast.
I did. So let everybody know how they can find and follow you.
LinkedIn's the best way. Go to LinkedIn, type in Adam Russell. You'll see me over at Opus Bank. And we got a meeting about Business Alliance coming up in the next week or two, so it looks like we'll be kicking that thing off. So I'll have some more news for you next time on Business Alliance.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. As always, it's been a treat. Adam Russell, Opus Bank, and CSUSB's Jack Brown School of Business and Public Administration. You're a rock star. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys. Take it easy.
You too. So with that, it's time for a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we will be right back.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, K292 FQ Riverside, and K293 CF Moreno Valley.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Carter. President Trump praises violence against a reporter while trying to fire up his base at a rally in Montana yesterday, saying, any guy who can do a body slam, he's my guy. He was talking about now Congressman Greg Gianforte. NBC's Hallie Jackson with more.
You might remember that Gianforte, the day before the election, attacked a Guardian reporter, knocking off his glasses. He later pleaded guilty to an assault charge and apologized.
This comes as Trump has been criticized for his administration's response to the disappearance and presumed murder of a journalist who was critical of the Saudi government. Mexico is stepping up security on its southern border as the Trump administration pushes the country to deal with a growing caravan of mostly Honduran migrants. The migrants claim they're fleeing poverty and violence and are making their way to the U.S.-Mexico border. And tonight's Mega Millions jackpot worth an astounding $970 million. Lisa Carter, NBC News Radio.
It's time for traffic on KCAA. I'm Erin Brinker. In Riverside, on the 91 westbound at Pierce Street, a 3-car crash has been cleared to the shoulder. East is slow from McKinley. In Devore, on the 215 northbound before Devore Road, an injury wreck is blocking the 2 right lanes. In Corona, on the 91 westbound approaching the 71, a crash is now along the right shoulder. Slow traffic is backed up from La Sierra Avenue. And in San Bernardino, on the 15 southbound at the old California 58, there's an accident. The right lane is blocked. That says San Bernardino, but it's San Bernardino County. This has been your traffic report on KCAA. We are the stations that leave no listener behind. I'm Erin Brinker.
From the KCAA Weather Center, I'm Alvin Washington. Red flag warning for Greater San Bernardino today. Sunny this morning, high 86. Clear this evening, low 56. Sunshine Saturday, high 85. I'm Alvin Washington, broadcasting live from the Tri-City Center at the 10 and 210 freeways. We are the trifecta of talk in Southern California, KCAA, 102.3 FM, Riverside, 106.5 FM, Redlands, and the Legacy, 1050 AM, Loma Linda, San Bernardino.
Are you or a loved one suffering from addiction? You're not alone. There is help, and people are getting help every day. Call Sheer Recovery now at 888-254-6801. That's 888-254-6801. Or go to sheerrecovery.com, spelled S-H-E-E-R, recovery.com. If you have insurance through work or family, your treatment may be covered at little or no cost to you. Plus, you can't lose your job if you decide to seek help. Sheer Recovery offers all levels of treatment. We understand what you're going through and know how to help. Make the best decision of your life and call Sheer Recovery now, spelled S-H-E-E-R. The number is 888-254-6801. That's 888-254-6801. The start of a better life begins here.
Drivers, when it's time to visit the DMV, avoid the long lines and save time by calling toll-free 833-DMV-LINE. That's 833-DMV-5463.
Broadcasting more local radio programs than any other station in California, we are KCAA.
Stacey's mom has got it going on. 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 Stacey, can I come over after school? After school.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. So there is a caravan of people coming up from Central America. And, it's like 3,000 people.
They're coming, Erin. The Hondurans are coming. And we've mapped out the route they're going to take. And they have to come through Guatemala. And a group of illegal immigrant activists here in San Bernardino, knowing that they have to go through Guatemala, went to the Guatemalan consulate in San Bernardino to present a letter asking the president of Guatemala, Jimmy Morales, to stop these people from coming through his country before they ever even get to Mexico, before they ever get to the United States, and basically saying to everybody in the area, this is a problem, and all of you are a part of it.
Yeah.
You know, in the past, I mean, however you feel about this issue, in the past, we seem to have just sort of turned a blind eye to all of this stuff and just sort of shrugged our shoulders and said, oh, well, it's going to happen. And when I say that, I'm talking about the Obama administration and even the George W. Bush administration. As things were going on, nobody really was standing up and saying, stop.
Yeah, hang on a second.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
just kind of said, well, they're coming, whatever. And Trump, to his credit, is the first president in my lifetime to stand up and say to all of the parties involved, no, we don't want you here. There are rules and processes, and you can't come here unless you follow them. And putting pressure, I mean, real pressure. And, of course, Trump has said that there will be serious economic sanctions on these countries if they don't control this. Right.
So yes, I mean, and I don't want to say that we don't want them here, but there is a process.
Yeah.
It's how do you process 3,000 people at the border, and the conspiracy theories are already coming from the right, saying that this is funded by leftist organizations who want that sob story right before an election.
Yeah.
So they want the images of children and women starving, or whatever.
Yes, and the heartless president who's turning them away.
Yes.
And perhaps that's it. Maybe there is definitely a political calculation to some of this stuff. What was interesting to me, though, is this story in the Sun newspaper about this group of local activists who went to the Guatemalan consulate to hand deliver this letter. And it's fascinating to me because they're all very nicely dressed. They're wearing suits. They don't look like, there's a tendency to want to lump in these anti-immigrant activists as a bunch of white redneck,
toothless,
violent looking, whatever. And these are very professional looking. And the main spokesman for the group is Hispanic. And I'm just looking for his name here. Raul Rodriguez Jr. And he's standing next to a Caucasian woman, and I'm going to mess up her last name, Robin Vidston. They're part of this group called We the People Rising and California State for the Remembrance Project out of the Inland Empire here. And they're delivering a letter, right? A letter. I mean, this is not violence. This is a political process in action.
Right.
Whether you agree with their politics or not, right? This is the way politics should work.
Right. Nobody's being assaulted. Nobody's being screamed at.
Yeah.
Nobody's having their dinner ruined. Nobody's whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me, and of course I teach U.S. history, of when our government, before we got to the American Revolution, there was a series of letters that we sent to King George, right?
Yes.
Saying, what our issues were. Petitions that were sent, signed by lots of colonists saying, this is a problem for us, begging for relief and help, and before it eventually got to violence, and of course we hope that we don't ever get to violence, but it's nice to see people actually sort of using the processes the way they're supposed to be. And the letter seemed to have been well received. The people at the consulate accepted the letter, said that it would be forwarded on. It was Vice Consul Leticia Pineda said that she'll forward the letter on to President Morales, and it's just fascinating. I mean, now, of course, Donald Trump is tweeting throughout all of this, right? And some of his tweets are inflammatory. And this is
no.
I know, right? Trump inflammatory, and so this is where I think things get interesting, because I think this is where people begin to get fired up, and you run the risk of sort of political violence. We have today informed the countries of Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador that if they allow their citizens or others to journey through their borders and up to the United States with the intention of entering our country illegally, all payments made to them will end. And it's very emphatic. And so, Trump is taking a strong position, and he's being very clear about what's going to happen. And I honestly think that's what good leadership looks like.
So do they take him seriously?
I don't know. The group is still coming, right? I mean, we're hearing that they're still coming. But we're hearing that, like Mexico has already said, they're going to beef up their border in the south. They're going to make them go through a process. Now, the problem is that those Central American countries in Mexico have a reciprocal agreement that allows people to travel through their countries. The question is, does it allow for 3,000 people traveling as a group with a particular political intent to come through their country, right? And this is what they're wrestling with right now, is do we have the legal authority to say, no, what you're doing is actually a violation of the intent or the spirit of this reciprocal agreement, right? And I think that they are going to turn these folks back. I'd be very surprised if they actually make it to our border.
It makes me think, I know at least for Mexico, there's a significant portion of their GDP that comes from transfer payments from Mexican nationals sending money home to their families. They come up here to work and they send money home to their families. And so, at least I know that the Mexican government has an interest in ensuring that is not disrupted.
Yeah.
Now, as far as Guatemalans and Hondurans, I would imagine there's a percentage of their economies as well that excuse me, that is dependent upon those kinds of money transfers too.
Yeah. So there was a follow-up tweet from Trump, and this is the one directed directly at Mexico. He says, in addition to stopping all payments to those countries, which seem to have almost no control over their population, I must, in the strongest of terms, ask Mexico to stop this onslaught. And if unable to do so, I will call up the U.S. military and close our southern border. The close our southern border is in all caps, Aaron. He's screaming at us.
He wants to be heard, apparently.
Now, the question I always have when I see something like that is, can the president really, really close off the complete southern border with the military? Because obviously these are state borders as well. And what happens in certain states when the federal government comes in with the military and says we're going to shut down the border?
Well, the military is not supposed to be deployed in the states.
I know.
They have to be, because the individual governors can call up the National Guard. Well, that's not going to happen in California.
Yeah.
It might happen in Arizona. It might happen in Texas. It's not going to happen in New Mexico.
Yeah.
And so, what does that look like? Are they going to stand in the Rio Grande River and, they're going to put the Navy in the Rio Grande? I don't know what that's going to look like.
Now you gave me a little chuckle there. The Navy in the Rio Grande. Right.
Going to have some seals.
Yeah, right.
Big Bend National Park.
Anyway, this is a fascinating story to me, in part because I have so many mixed feelings about this. You and I generally tend to be pro-immigration, but again, legal immigration. But I have a heart for people that are already here, and we both support the Dreamers, and so it's one of these things where it's such a complex issue, and I wish that our government could all get on the same page. And I think this part of it, what Trump's doing right now, and trying to turn these people back, I think that's the right approach.
Before they've come all the way up here.
Yeah. And being very clear that there are going to be consequences for the governments that don't stop this from happening, because let's be honest, they've been complicit.
Well, but those governments are feckless anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at these Central American countries where it's gangs that run them.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how effective their government really is in controlling the population. Not that the population needs to be controlled like a communist country, but in reducing violence and creating an environment where people can start businesses and raise their families without fear of violence or with reasonable fear of violence, because things aren't perfect here either. So these countries their work is that they need to create a livable environment for their own citizenry.
Yeah. And by the way, when Erin talks about a reasonable level of violence, she's talking about the kids knowing that when Dad gets home, it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard.
Well, no, but I don't want to say like we're a utopia. We're not.
No, I know.
We've got our own issues, but that we are trying to deal with as well. But
which is in part why he's trying to turn this group back, because we haven't got a handle on our own stuff yet.
Right. Well, the thing about it, though, is, we were just talking about all of these companies needing to hire.
Yeah.
So, if they're not going to come from the Americans, if we have nearly full employment, they're going to have to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
And so immigrants fill that void, they fill that gap, and I'm all for that. I think that's wonderful. But if the challenge becomes is if you have an onslaught of people who then access our social welfare system and are not able to take those jobs that need to be done, that need to be filled.
Well, that's why they have to be vetted.
Exactly.
Go through a process.
Exactly. So with that, let's take a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are On the Brink, the morning show on KCAA. We'll be right back.
We had a flood of veterans coming home and ending up homeless.
Retired Marine Jeff Brighton from Redlands.
When James Ramos got involved, everything changed. As county supervisor, James has found housing for homeless veterans, helping hundreds of local vets get the shelter and support they needed to get back on their feet.
James Ramos worked across party lines to balance the county budget while doing more to help local veterans, attack the homeless crisis, and expand career and skills training.
James has been instrumental in helping obtain funding for programs that support veterans. James is very passionate when he takes on a cause. It's not for political gain, it's because he truly believes. I believe that James is going to continue to fight for the veterans and ensure that the resources are available to them that they need. James Ramos has always stood with veterans. That's why veterans like me are standing with James Ramos for Assembly.
Paid for by James Ramos for Assembly 2018.
Are you or a loved one suffering from addiction? You're not alone. There is help, and people are getting help every day. Call Sheer Recovery now at 888-254-6801. That's 888-254-6801. Or go to sheerrecovery.com, spelled S-H-E-E-R, recovery.com. If you have insurance through work or family, your treatment may be covered at little or no cost to you. Plus, you can't lose your job if you decide to seek help. Sheer Recovery offers all levels of treatment. We understand what you're going through and know how to help. Make the best decision of your life and call Sheer Recovery now, spelled S-H-E-E-R. The number is 888-254-6801. That's 888-254-6801. The start of a better life begins here.
How many commercials do you hear every day claiming to be the best weight loss program ever? The only problem, you spend a lot of money, you lose the weight, you gain it back. Plus, when all it takes is adding protein to your diet. Protein gives you what you need and reduces hunger. NutriPro is pure protein. It's not the newest fad. It's not the latest weight loss program, but it helps to stop those daily cravings safely. There's no magic. It's simply a 2-ounce shot of protein taken twice a day, 20 grams of pure, clean protein in every shot with absolutely no carbs, no fat, and no sugar. Feel full faster and keep feeling full longer. It never requires refrigeration, mixing, or dilution. It is simply easy access to protein anytime, anywhere. But it's not available in stores. It's available directly from the manufacturer. Go to myproteinnow.com and try a 20-count trial pack today. Go to myproteinnow.com for a special introductory offer, including shipping. Do it right now. myproteinnow.com.
The Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands is serving up some really cool ice cream at La Micho Acana. Then get your chocolates and other delights from C's Candies. Moms and future moms who visit the mall can cool off and relax while they get treated like royalty at Shiny Nails or Francis Nails and then pampered at Texture Hair. The Tri-City Center is filled with retailers who care about you. Shop at the Tri-City Center in Redlands and see why they call it the Mall with a Heart.
This is KCAA.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. We so appreciate you spending time with us in the morning. We understand, or listening to the podcast, we understand that you have many choices on who to take with you on your journey each day, and we're glad that you spend that time with us. All the ways you can listen to us, 106.5 FM, 102.3 FM, 1050 AM, and at KCAAradio.com. You can find the live broadcast. Tobin's on camera. You can also listen to the broadcast, and you can catch the podcasts. You can also find our podcast on iHeart. So if you go to iHeart, look for podcasts and search for On the Brink KCAA, you will be able to find us. Last I checked, our image there was a little coffee cup. It's super cute. And yeah, that's how you find us.
Cool. Well, we're everywhere. There's a big story, Aaron, in the SACB yesterday that we have to talk about. And it clearly explains something that I've been saying for a while, but gives the facts and the figures to back it up. And that is that our property tax surge that we're seeing right now is reveals a real truth, which is that the local tax hikes are really all about pensions.
Yes.
Now, the guy who wrote this is Dan Walters, and he's a wonderful columnist from the SAC-B, been up in Sacramento for ages, and just really smart guy.
So now he runs a nonprofit news organization called Cal News. At least I think it's nonprofit, or Cal Matters.
Cal Matters.
And so he has a regular blog, but he's also a contributor to the Sacramento Bee, even though he's not employed there anymore.
Yes.
He retired from there.
But he is brilliant, and he knows,
really is.
He knows the right people to talk to, the right questions to ask, and he often uncovers sort of the real truths about what's happening. And in this case, the state economy is booming. Right, it is booming. We've been talking about it all morning long. The employment numbers are ridiculous. We're doing great. Okay, so why in this great economic situation are all these cities trying to jack up their taxes? Right. Well, the reality is the money's needed for pensions, and Dan Walters does a great job of explaining it. So, the property values in our state have gone up tremendously. And he lays out the statistics. The uber-strong real estate market generated a 6.51% increase in values, which added $374 billion in property tax rolls. Okay, think about how much that money is. Okay, most of that money, Aaron, ended up going to cities. Okay, so the school districts also take money from property tax, but their money actually goes to the state, and then they get money back from the state based on a formula. So the state actually gets to keep most of the gains when that happens. But cities rely on these property taxes, and this is what drives it. So our local cities are sort of flush with money right now, but a lot of them are also going out and asking the voters to approve tax increases. But the tax increases are for a whole bunch of things that are not pensions. So they've got all this money coming in, and they say that they need money for, police officers, or they need money for parks, or they need money for this. But really what the money is going to be used for is pensions. And Dan Walters just does a great job of sort of explaining that. He says there are 254 local tax increases on the November 6th ballot. There are sales taxes, parcel taxes, utility taxes, hotel taxes, and all that's according to the California Taxpayers Association. And that is 65% more than what they were asking for.
But we see this on
ago.
the state level, too. I mean, it seems like at least once a year, either in June or November, and sometimes it's both, the governor is crying poor.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's patting himself on the back for what he's calling a surplus. And then he's coming back to us and saying over and over again that our bridges are going to fall down and our dams are going to break and your car is going to be swallowed into a pothole unless you give us yet another tax increase.
Yes.
And it's like, well, hang on a second.
But when you look at the state budget and where the money's going to pensions, right? Local government pension costs are growing faster than revenues. That's what's squeezing the budgets. So even though we've got all this revenue rushing in, right? I just mentioned how the property taxes have just gone through the roof because of the increased valuations. All this money's coming in. It's still not enough to feed the pension monster. And that's why they're going out and asking for all these new taxes, right? And it's a simple budgetary gimmick.
So what happens when the economy inevitably slows down? Because, there's an ebb and flow to this.
Yep.
So then what happens? I mean, I understand that they're going for the tax increases when people are flush with cash and they may have be more inclined for largesse, right?
Yeah.
But now... so now that's why they're asking. But, who knows when the next recession's coming? It will come. They always do. And so then what happens? Are you going to squeeze families to the point where they lose their homes and we have a bigger homeless crisis?
What's going to happen is we saw what happened in San Bernardino is that all the other services got cut, right? And even when they were given an opportunity in the bankruptcy to really address the pension issues, they did not.
They chose not to.
They chose not to. They didn't go to the end of that battle. They fought it for a while. And then they eventually threw in the towel because, well, they needed to get on with business. And here's what Dan Walters' analysis says. He says, with very rare exceptions, however, officials who place the tax increases on the ballot will not publicly say that the extra revenue is needed to offset the rising pension costs. They believe that telling the truth would make voters less likely to vote for the new taxes.
Well, yeah.
And could also make employees' unions less likely to provide campaign money. There's a key. Always follow the money, right?
Right.
And rather, on the advice of high-priced consultants, they say the money is needed for popular police and fire services and parks. And so this is the bait and switch. right? Oh, we need these other things. And then the money gets shifted off to cover the pensions.
It's the next statement that really bothers me.
Right.
And, what Dan Walters is a journalist.
Uh-huh.
We've kind of forgotten what they're supposed to look like. They're supposed to look like Dan Walters.
Yeah.
He's doing his job. And he says here, unfortunately, most local news media are carelessly complicit in the conspiracy of silence, accepting the official reasons at face value rather than analyzing them critically. That's true, even though the numbers are readily available.
Yeah.
And he is right. The Fourth Estate is not doing its job.
Yeah. And we made a lot of excuses for why that's happened. The media doesn't have the workers they used to have. The model has changed and all this stuff, but it doesn't remove their responsibility.
Well, and I got to tell you, so we benefit from a public employees union. So I have full disclosure. But the idea that a private sector person has to work till work until they're dead, so that a public employee can retire with 3% at 55,
well,
it's pretty maddening.
And here's the thing too. The way a lot of this is set up, it's kind of a Ponzi scheme. And so the people at the top of that pyramid, the highest paid employees, which are the city managers, the police chiefs, and all those guys, if you look at what they actually paid in versus what they're getting in the benefit, it's really a shifting of money from the lower level employees to the higher level employees.
Well, okay, but theoretically,
and the taxpayer.
Here's the thing. Theoretically, when you put your money into a retirement plan, whether it's a 403B or a 501, not a 501c3, that's not a tax plan, an IRA or a 401k, that's what I was looking for. That money's invested, right? So you have a person or a fund manager, somebody who's investing and watching that money, and because the interest is compounding and it's growing. The whole idea is that you get back far more than you put in, right? That's the whole idea. Unfortunately, they overestimated, even in booming years, they grossly overestimate their return on investment. And we learned recently that the woman who was running CalPERS, for example, she didn't even have a college degree.
Yeah.
So she's running this billion dollar fund, and she doesn't even have a college degree.
Yeah.
And so I came up through the ranks. I know what I'm doing. No, clearly you don't, because there's a catastrophe coming.
Yes.
People who know what they're talking about say that there's a catastrophe coming.
Yeah, it's all quite fascinating, and I just love that finally there's a very rationally argued with facts article here from Dan Walters that can be shared with people, that's written in sort of layman's terms so anyone can read this and understand that this is a real bait and switch that's going on. You and I have been talking about it for a while.
For years.
But to actually see the numbers, to see that they're getting all this money, the revenue's flooding in.
But you were talking about this before San Bernardino went bankrupt.
Yes.
And, that's why the union spent so much money to get you out. And I know this is old news and whatever. It's water under the bridge. But you've been talking about this for 8 years now.
Yeah.
8 or 9 years, right?
Yeah. And I wish I had been more aware of it sooner, But again, the levels of duplicity that go on to try to hide this information, right? And you really have to know the right questions to ask, and that's why I admire Dan Walters, because he knows what to ask and where to look, and it's so clear the way he's laid it out. The money's flooding in, and yet they're still asking for more. Why? Because they have to fill the hole for pensions.
They do. So with that, we're at the end of our show for today. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are On the Brink, the morning show on KCAA. Have a great weekend, everyone.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM,
Good show, baby.
And now 102.3 FM.
But it was 31 years ago today that the markets crashed. The Dow dropped 22% or 508 points. A 22% drop today would come to more than 5,000 points. But earnings are good. Procter & Gamble sold more Tide and SK2 skincare products. Honeywell sold more warehouse machines. VF Corp sold more North Face stuff, and Skechers sold more shoes. Would you drive the same car as Walter White?